On va lui dire bienvenue. Alors, tapez les mains, 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 tapez les mains. Oh, tapez les mains, tapez les mains. Clap one, and so, clap two, clap three, again, clap three. Say hello, everybody.
Thank you very much. You can sit down. Now we have, I'm going to give the floor to Dr. Vera Songe. After a speech, we are going to have some question. I would like to be, your question should be concise and precise. Okay. Let me give the floor now to Madam Vera Songe. Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you very much to everybody. Welcome to those of you who are in Yaoundé, in Douala, in Boyer, and the 8,000, as you say, online. It is a real pleasure. I can see some of you. I think I can see Yaoundé and I can see the Douala Center. I hope at some point we will be able to see Boyer as well and to be able to connect them. We are meeting, of course, in a very difficult time. It is COVID, and many of us have lost our jobs. As we know, the Economic Commission for Africa predicts that we would lose over 100 million jobs because of the COVID crisis. So I think for many of you, one of the reasons why we wanted to do the Connect African Girls coding camp is really to begin to see how we can provide a skill that you can use at home. Because clearly one of the things that COVID has done for us is it has shown us that, you know, we may not be able to continuously work in a spirit where we are always going into common spaces. Today you are in a common space, but we're hoping that, you know, with the coding camp, you will be able to design your own programs, you'll be able to develop your own programs, and then you can eventually become business leaders on the continent. I think of the 8,000 girls that we have across the continent that are connected, and the almost 200 in Cameroon, there is a sense that I think African girls, African young women can clearly take their destiny into their own hands with technology. And why are we emphasizing technology? I think the reason we do this is because we believe that, you know, you can decide whether you want to go into technology for environment, whether you want to go into technology for health, whether you want to go into technology for design, technology for construction, technology for arts, technology for poetry. I think the field is quite large. The world is big once you begin to do that. The reason we do it together is that hopefully by the end of the coding camp, you would have built connections with each other. You will be able to, you know, lean on each other and ensure that if you had, you know, an idea, it's not just your idea, but it's an idea of a community of young girls in Cameroon, in Africa, that we can build together. The Economic Commission for Africa, we hope, is going to find some of you as, you know, uniquely talented, and that we can then work with you to see how we accompany you through this process of your growth spirit. One of the things we have always said, and the last time when I was in Cameroon, we talked with the leadership of the country. And here I really want to thank Madame Libong Likeng, the Minister of ICT, who has been a champion for first of all, the Connected African Girls Coding Camp. She's, without her support, without her help, we would not have been there. But of course, she's a woman, so she understands these things. And she knows that we need this if we're going to be able to progress on the continent, and in particular in Cameroon. But we need more, of course, in Cameroon, and we need more on the continent. We continue to say that the three things that we need are, first of all, we need access, we need better broadband, and I want you to be with me, militants of this ask, that we ask the government to give us better broadband services. We cannot develop ICT if we don't have the broadband services, we need to do that. We cannot be competitive if we don't have the services. The second thing we need is affordable access to the internet at affordable cost. Today, only 17% of the continent has access to the internet at affordable cost. This is not something that is difficult. We can do it if we wanted to do it as a continent. There are many countries on the continent, of course, that are already doing it, and we can see the benefits in Kenya, in Senegal, in countries like Togo. A lot is happening because they do have access to affordable, accessible, reliable internet connectivity. And I think that's what you young women in Yaoundé, in Boya, in Douala need. And we believe that our leadership should be able to provide a minimum service. You are going to be leaders, or you are already leaders in the field if you're in this room today and if you're listening. And so I think the first thing that you want to do is when we come out, we have, at least for Cameroon, this unique advantage where you speak English and you speak French. And so I think somebody said, you know, why is she going to speak French soon? Mais nous avons un pays où nous pouvons parler anglais, nous pouvons parler le français. Aujourd'hui, nous le savons très bien que sur notre continent, et au fait, dans le monde du marché aujourd'hui, tout est fait en ligne. Si nous avons cet atout, qui est un atout qui est aujourd'hui recherché partout dans le monde, des personnes, des jeunes femmes et des jeunes filles comme vous qui parlent l'anglais, qui parlent le français, c'est un marché qui ne reste que à conquérir. Et nous pensons, en faisant cette Connected African Girls Camp, qu'un jour, peut-être, les filles, les jeunes filles camerounaises peuvent être ceux qui vont être les motivateurs et les moteurs de la croissance camerounaise, en faisant ce que nous voyons aujourd'hui, par exemple, au Kenya, où nous avons des jeunes femmes kenyennes qui sont en train de programmer des voitures qui sont sans pilote aux États-Unis. Et dans ces centres, il y en a 50 000 jeunes qui travaillent dans ce centre au Kenya, en train de programmer des systèmes de télécommunications et d'infrastructures aux États-Unis. Pourquoi pas au Cameroun, où nous avons ces atouts qui sont à notre portée. Et c'est pour ça que nous avons choisi cette fois-ci de faire ce Girls Coding Camp au Cameroun, avec évidemment le concours des jeunes filles à Yaoundé, à Douala et à Boya. Nous savons évidemment que l'intelligence artificielle est quelque chose qui va définir le futur de nos économies, qui va être une façon déterminante de savoir quelles sont les économies qui vont progresser dans le futur et quels sont ceux qui seront laissés en arrière. J'ai le plaisir de dire aujourd'hui que le Cameroun aujourd'hui compte parmi les pays le plus avancés dans l'intelligence artificielle sur le continent. Mais nous ne pourrons pas avancer aussi vite si nous n'avons pas les atouts et les infrastructures dont nous avons besoin. Et je crois que votre sortie durant ces 2 semaines pour le Connected African Girls Camp montre au Cameroun et montre à toutes les dirigeants du continent que les jeunes filles africaines, les jeunes filles camerounaises, les jeunes filles kenyennes ont envie, ont besoin et savent et peuvent réaliser leur rêve d'être demain des génies dans le domaine de l'intelligence artificielle, de cybersecurity et de tout ce qui vient, tous les services qui viennent avec un secteur économique digital assez avancé. C'est pour cela que nous sommes en train de dire que fermer cette gap technologique sur le continent, d'abord entre les hommes et les femmes, et puis entre les différents pays du continent, reste un maillon essentiel pour pouvoir atteindre cette prospérité, cette émergence et cette croissance que nous cherchons sur notre continent. Aujourd'hui, nous voyons une gap déjà et des inégalités qui sont en train de se relever à cause du Covid, parce qu'il y en a beaucoup qui perdent leur travail. Mais nous pensons qu'en faisant ces coding camps et en faisant ces sessions de training, nous pouvons peut-être donner à vous, jeunes femmes camerounaises, les 8000 jeunes filles qui sont connectées partout sur le continent. Et j'aimerais dire que c'est la 3e fois que nous sommes en train de faire ce coding camp. Et chaque fois que nous le faisons, nous avons beaucoup plus de femmes autour du continent qui nous rejoignent avec des idées qui sont géniales. Certaines d'entre eux, la dernière fois quand nous l'avons fait ici en Éthiopie, nous avons au fait eu 3 jeunes femmes qui ont collaboré incidemment avec des jeunes femmes camerounaises pour développer un logiciel pour des femmes enceintes, où quand une femme est enceinte, elle peut atteindre son docteur même à distance. Je crois que c'est des innovations comme ça. Il n'y a que nous qui peuvent chercher des innovations et des solutions à nos problèmes parce que nous les connaissons, nous les vivons du jour en jour. Mais pour que ces innovations puissent voir le jour, nous demandons aussi 3 choses à nos dirigeants. Il faudrait que vous joigniez à nous pour essayer de faire ce plaidoyer ensemble. Premièrement, c'est la protection de la propriété intellectuelle. Vous êtes tous en train de devenir des innovateurs. Et nous aimerions protéger vos innovations pour que demain, vous puissiez être, pourquoi pas, le prochain Bill Gates dans le monde de la nouvelle technologie. Donc, je suis très, très ravie de vous voir tous, malgré toutes les conditions et les difficultés qui existent aujourd'hui sur notre continent et à travers nos différents pays, que vous êtes quand même sortis, vous avez pris le temps de venir faire ce coding camp. Nous espérons, comme la Commission économique pour l'Afrique, tout le système des Nations Unies, parce que nous sommes en train de travailler évidemment avec UN Women, avec ITU, notre section pour la technologie, avec toutes les autres UNDP qui est aussi avec nous, pour voir qu'est-ce que nous pouvons réaliser avec ce Connected African Girls Camp. Nous ne voulons pas que ce soit juste une expérience des jeunes filles comme vous à Yaoundé, ou des jeunes filles comme vous à Boya. Nous aimerons que vous parlez et que nous pourrons peut-être, nous espérons, créer une communauté des jeunes filles camerounaises, des jeunes filles sénégalaises, éthiopiennes, qui sont kenyennes évidemment, qu'au fur et à mesure que nous répétons ces camps, nous pouvons créer une société vraiment, un mouvement des jeunes filles Connected African Girls, c'est pour ça des jeunes filles africaines connectées qui ensemble réfléchissent sur quelles sont les solutions à certains de nos problèmes, comment créer de l'emploi évidemment, qui est quelque chose qui est nécessaire et essentiel aujourd'hui pour voir une prospérité sur le continent, que vous pouvez travailler ensemble. Aujourd'hui, nous parlons de la zone de libre-échange continental africain pour que nous puissions échanger des idées entre les pays et à travers le continent, pour voir comment est-ce que nous pouvons, avec nos inventions, une invention en Mauritanie ne doit pas rester en Mauritanie, cette invention doit pouvoir traverser le continent, arriver pourquoi pas à Boya, passer à Zanzibar et peut-être finir à Lesotho. C'est un peu ça que nous voulons faire avec le Connected African Girls. C'est seulement en travaillant ensemble comme un continent uni, d'abord comme un pays uni, et comme j'ai dit et que j'insiste, nous avons un pays, le Cameroun évidemment, qui a tous ses atouts, vous jeunes filles qui peuvent parler anglais, qui peuvent parler français, sur un marché universel et mondial où nous demandons ces atouts d'abord de langage, parce que évidemment, ICT is English, a lot of the back office work that's going to happen because of COVID is going to happen because you stay in your houses, but you're connected and you can work and you can earn an income, you can create a job for yourselves, for your families, and for your societies. And this is really what we want to make sure that we can continue to emphasize as we go forward. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's sometimes not as easy as one would think. But I think the fact that you have come, the fact that you've been waking up every morning and coming to the coding camp is the first demonstration of your desire and your ambition to be somebody and to contribute to the growth process, first of your community, because it always starts with your community, and then of the country. And I hope that as we do this and as we come back to you, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 months, we will see that you have developed your ideas and that we can take those ideas and make them into ideas that are solutions. We say in the ECA that we want to go from ideas to action. We will, with our Connected African Girls Coding Camp, see how we can take your ideas and make them solutions for the problems that African women face, first of all, but that African communities face as a whole. It is unfortunate that I cannot be with you wherever you may be today on the continent to talk about this. But you know, I always talk and quote Nelson Mandela, who says that it's impossible until it's done. I think we've started today. We would have thought that it was impossible to bring, you know, young girls from Yaoundé, young girls from Boya, and young girls from Douala together to work together to see how we bring solutions. But this is the beginning. It's just the beginning of a process that we hope will end up in a place where together, as one community of young connected African girls, young connected Cameroonian girls, we find solutions for many of the ills that affect our society today. The problems of peace that we need, the problems of health, where our women are still dying of childbirth in numbers they should not be dying of, where many of our girls are not going to school. I'm sure many of you know girls that will need to go to school, that would like to go to school, that cannot go. And I hope that with this coding camp, we can find systems and solutions to ensure that those girls that are far away can go to school. We still have far too many girls on our streets on the continent because of crises, because of lack of peace. We hope that some of the instruments that you designed today will be talking to peace, will be talking to better justice in our systems and in our societies. And of course, I think many of you would have seen that on Sunday, and this is my final point, you know, one of the richest men on the continent decided to go to space. We hope that one day, one of the young African girls will be the next person designing the next frontier in spacecraft. At the Economic Commission for Africa, we're working on that. We're working on nanotechnology. We're working on space technology. We're trying to create a community of young girls that are pushing the edge, that are daring today. And I'm sure that as you dare, you will realize that you have a lot more in you than you would have ever dreamed. And until you dare, would you know what is your limitation? And not just your limitation, but what's your ambition and how big the world is for you. So we're just a small part of your dreams, but we hope that with this coding camp, we can allow you to realize how much bigger you can be and how much broader you can be and how much better you can be by reaching out to the continent and ensuring that we can do better, first for yourselves, but then also for all of us. Again, thank you for your attention. And I really, really wish that someday I could be with you all, first of all in Cameroon, to see you, to see what you have done, but also to the young girls across the continent. I think one of my best days last year was to see what the girls in Ethiopia had done, what the team in Ethiopia had done, and essentially taking that forward. So hopefully this is just the beginning of a journey that we will see together and past COVID. And I want to say, please vaccinate yourselves. Yes, there is a lot of conversation around, should I get vaccinated or shouldn't I get vaccinated? But the best way to survive this crisis, as we have mutating variants of the COVID-19, is that you vaccinate yourselves. If you can have your families vaccinated, we need to get to 60% vaccinations in all of our countries. We're working very, very hard to get the vaccines. If your family members are still curious or still hesitating, please, please, please inform them. It is important to get vaccinated. It is important to continue to protect yourself. And I'm so happy I see all of you wearing your mask even after that, because the only way that Africa survives this crisis is that you, young people, take responsibility and take account of it. Because only as Africa has 60% of its population is young, but this next Delta virus is actually killing our youth as well. I think that before, when we began with COVID, there was a sense that our youth were not dying of COVID, but they are now dying of COVID. In South Africa, we see many, many more youth. In Zimbabwe, in Mozambique, we see many more youth dying of COVID. So please take care of yourselves as young women as well. You're not just young women, but you're probably also taking care of families. So you cannot afford to let yourselves be put at risk because you're not taking the right protection. So I would really like, again, to end up by saying thank you so much for taking your time. Thank you for listening. And I think I will stop here, and my sense is I have to take questions. I want to thank the team, Maktar, and all of the team of UNECA that is out there in Cameroon with you, you guys in Yaoundé, that put this together, for all the hard work that has gone into it. Pedro, who is our director for Central Africa, the ITU team, UN Women, and again, the Minister of ICT, Madame Mikeng Ligom. Of course, as ECA, our main counterparts are the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Finance. So I would like to thank them for all their support. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, IS, pour ce discours qui est très éducatif, aussi qui va inspirer les jeunes filles pour être des actrices de la société numérique qui commence déjà maintenant. Et je pense que le message a été bien reçu et que dans les groupes de travail déjà constitués, les jeunes filles sont en train de développer des projets novateurs dans le domaine de l'intelligence artificielle, de la robotique, des jeux de web et aussi dans le domaine du design. Donc, sans plus tarder, on va aller à Bouya pour prendre quelques questions. 2 questions à Bouya. Bouya, you have the floor for only 2 questions. After we can come back if you have a time.
Good morning, ma'am. Thank you. I'm a former Micheline and I'm coming from Boya and I'm attending this camp. Well, madam, thank you for giving us the honor to attend this camp. Following this camp, we can further develop our skills on IT and become entrepreneurs. In being entrepreneur, we can help to employ unemployed youth to help to reduce the crisis. So, madam, my question was thus. Apart from this training session on IT law, does the UN have further plans of organizing other training sessions like women in leadership? And how often is this camp going to be held?
A second question in Bia.
My question is, how can the UN help the girls who are in the bush? Because they don't have internet connection. How can the UN help them?
Okay, I leave the floor to Yes to answer these 2 questions.
Sorry, you're going to have to repeat the second question. Is how can the UN?
Bouya, the second question, please.
I didn't hear the question.
How can the UN help to reach the girls who are? How can the UN help to reach the girls who are in the bush? Because without internet connection.
Yes. No, that's a very good question. And first of all, thank you and greetings to you all in Boya again. Listen, first of all, the coding camp and the training and you girls in Boya are very dear to our hearts because you are putting Cameroon on the map in terms of the work that we do on ICT. Today, I think that everybody talks about Boya as the center of the ICT universe in Cameroon, which is why we wanted to make sure that we got girls from Boya in this camp today. But your question is very pertinent, and that is what we are trying to do, is to see how we can work with the government to increase access to the internet, particularly in all the education facilities in the country. The first thing is to increase the broadband access. We're working with the government now, and we really hope that we can put better broadband connectivity in many of our cities. This is not very complicated, as we know. I think we have the investment. It is a profitable investment. We hope that we can do that, and that's why the UN is working with ITU, working with UNDP, and working with the government of Cameroon to see whether we can do this and do this quickly. Because the first thing that we need to do is put broadband in. The second thing, as you said, is how can we reach those that today do not have access to the internet? And I think we're trying to do 2 things. Once we put in the broadband, we hope that we can also reduce the prices, because even for those who have access to broadband, it's still quite expensive. So the next thing we need to do is see how we can reduce the cost. If we can reduce the cost, if we can make it more affordable, then it becomes even better. I normally use the example of if you're sitting in Boya or Yaoundé or Douala and you want to connect to the internet, it takes you 2 or 3 minutes to connect sometimes to Google. In the United States, it takes you 2 seconds. Those 2 minutes versus 2 seconds is resources, it's money. No company that wants to hire somebody will want to buy a system that is so difficult to load. That is why, getting the right broadband, getting the right systems in place are important. Now, what is the UN doing? We're looking for investments that we can bring to the countries to ensure that this kinds of investments are made that we can put in place. But we're doing something more. We hope that at the end of your coding camp, there will be a selection, because when we do these things, we always have to do some kind of ranking system. That hopefully the first 5 or the first 10 of you who design, and there will be a voting system and you all will vote, but that the top 5, top 10 best projects that you develop, we can then take it and see how we fund it and develop it further. So as you said with your first question, I didn't get your name, that's how we begin to develop business. If we can make sure that, you know, the first 5 projects we actually take to finish and development and design and marketing stage, then we would have created 5 businesses. But we will come back and do another competition. As we said, we're trying to do one every 3 months in one African country. We will bring the rest of Africa online, but we will be in a particular country. And we've now done it in Zimbabwe, we've done it in Ethiopia, we're doing it in Cameroon, we did it in Congo, Brazzaville. So we hope we can do it in many more countries. And in each of these countries, we will find different girls with different experience, with different talents. And by bringing these girls, you girls, together with your talents, we hope that we can create something that is much bigger than each one of you individually.
Thank you. Let's have 2 questions from Douala. Douala.
Bonjour, madame.
Bonjour.
Voilà. D'entrée de jeu, je tiens à dire merci à la CIA pour cette brillante initiative à l'endroit de la jeune fille africaine. Depuis le début de ce temps, nous avons appris beaucoup de choses sur le plan entrepreneurial qui nous ont ouvert d'autres perspectives et qui aiguisent un certain appétit dans le domaine technique. Cependant, nous nous rendons très compte que 2 semaines sont insuffisantes pour assimiler le flux de connaissances nécessaires pour faire carrière dans les métiers du code. Ma question est de savoir, est-ce que l'organisation a eu à penser à soutenir des programmes à long terme pour non seulement inciter les jeunes filles africaines à se lancer dans les métiers des nouvelles technologies, mais aussi à pouvoir acquérir des connaissances, des compétences techniques qui leur permettent d'égaler les experts occidentaux.
La seconde question.
Merci. Bonsoir, madame. Et merci également à l'ONU pour cette initiative. Et ma collègue a déjà parlé de ça. Pendant votre présentation, vous avez parlé de protection de propriété intellectuelle. Donc, je voudrais savoir comment comptez-vous protéger nos innovations. Merci.
Merci. Je donne la parole à Yes pour répondre à ces questions, à ces 2 questions.
Merci une fois de plus. Merci à Douala et très content et très ravi de vous voir. Je pense que première réponse, est-ce que 2 semaines ne sont pas suffisantes? Vous avez absolument raison. Et c'est pour cela que nous sommes en train d'essayer de multiplier les Connected African Girls Camp. Je crois que d'ici, dans 3 mois, nous allons refaire un autre camp. Nous ne serons pas en présentiel au Cameroun, nous serons dans un autre pays, mais nous allons, nous espérons, connecter les jeunes filles camerounaises qui auront intérêt. Aujourd'hui, comme je vous parle, nous sommes aujourd'hui avec 8000 jeunes filles à travers tout le continent. Vous voyez au Cameroun aujourd'hui à peu près 200 jeunes filles, mais à travers tout le continent, il y en a 8000. Certaines qui ont déjà participé à d'autres Connected African Girls Coding Camp. Donc, nous espérons que nous aurions tous vos contacts et chaque fois que nous allons relancer un autre Coding Camp, nous allons peut-être vous inviter d'être parmi nous. Mais au fur et à mesure que nous faisons ces camps, je crois que nous allons essayer peut-être de commencer à faire une petite segmentation pour voir ceux qui sont peut-être spécialistes dans les robotiques, ceux qui sont spécialistes dans le AI, ceux qui sont spécialistes dans le design, pour qu'on puisse créer au sein de cette Connected African Girls des sous-communautés de spécialistes et en créant ces sous-communautés, nous allons maintenant commencer à réfléchir sur la question de la propriété intellectuelle, évidemment. Et qu'est-ce que nous sommes en train de faire? Aujourd'hui, sur le continent, nous avons deux institutions qui protègent un peu, qui ont pour but de protéger la propriété intellectuelle. Mais quand nous voyons aujourd'hui le coût de l'enregistrement de la propriété intellectuelle sur le continent, c'est beaucoup trop cher. Aujourd'hui, je ne sais pas quel est le prix au Cameroun, je vais me renseigner, mais par exemple, au Kenya, c'est $3 000 pour enregistrer une propriété intellectuelle. $3 000 pour chacun d'entre vous, c'est beaucoup trop élevé. Évidemment, vous serez d'accord avec moi, j'espère. Et donc, ce que nous sommes en train de dire, c'est comment est-ce que nous pouvons mutualiser cette protection de la propriété intellectuelle. Donc, la CEA est en train de travailler avec l'Union africaine et les dirigeants africains, de voir si nous pouvons créer une sorte de dépositoire où, même si vous n'avez pas les ressources pour enregistrer votre idée, nous pouvons l'enregistrer et la sauvegarder. Parce qu'aujourd'hui, même quand nous regardons sur le continent, beaucoup de propriétés intellectuelles qui sont enregistrées sont aujourd'hui enregistrées par les étrangers sur le continent. Et beaucoup d'entre eux viennent faire des camps comme nous sommes en train de faire, ils prennent vos idées, ils l'enregistrent, ils vont les développer dans les pays les plus développés où il y en a plus de moyens. Nous sommes en train de dire que ça ne peut pas continuer comme ça parce que nous, sur le continent, nous avons besoin de travail et c'est après tout nos idées. Donc, il va falloir que nous trouvons une sorte de mi-chemin, même si nous ne pouvons pas payer les $3 000 si on peut. Nous sommes en train de parler avec le Kenya, par exemple, pour voir est-ce que nous pouvons baisser le prix. Mais l'Europe, pour vous dire, même l'Europe qui a assez et suffisamment de ressources, s'est rendu compte que mettre un prix assez élevé sur l'enregistrement de la propriété intellectuelle est quelque chose qui empêche d'abord l'innovation et deuxièmement qui crée une sorte de fuite d'idées. Et donc, ils sont en train de mutualiser un peu cette propriété intellectuelle et nous aimerons sur le continent faire quelque chose de similaire, peut-être un peu plus différent parce que nous avons des infrastructures institutionnelles un peu plus différentes, mais voir comment, par exemple, si aujourd'hui nous avons cette Connected African Girls Coding Camp, nous pouvons créer une sorte de propriété intellectuelle autour de ce coding camp, autour de ces différentes jeunes filles et leurs idées pour pouvoir les protéger un peu plus. Donc, nous allons travailler avec vous pour solliciter aussi vos idées et voir un peu comment, avec l'Organisation africaine de propriété intellectuelle, nous pouvons développer cette idée. Je vous remercie.
Good morning, Doctor, and thank you for your presentation. Dr. Vera, on November 16, 2017, you launched the first edition of the Women and Girls Startup Challenge in Abidjan, where you said your success could trigger the launch of a larger continent-wide movement. My question is, how can a girl participating in this camp be linked to the Women and Girls Startup Challenge? And how does this challenge help Cameroon and Africa today? Thank you.
Good morning, Madam. I'm called Israel, and my question is, what is the Marshall Fund for Young Female Entrepreneurs and how is it implemented in Africa and Cameroon especially?
Last one, last. Yes.
Good morning, Doctor. First of all, I'm a big fan of your academic and career prowess. I have two questions. The first question is, having worked in North Africa and West and Central Africa, what do you think is the reason for the big divide in development in both parts of Africa? And also, as an economist, what do you think can be a solution for the lack of digitalization as far as monetary transactions are concerned, especially in Cameroon?
Non, elle va répondre à ces questions. Donc, si on a le temps, on revient. Madame Vera, vous avez la parole.
So thank you very much for those questions. I think, first of all, three things. So we launched the Girls Startup in Cote d'Ivoire. What we have done since then is actually try to do something bigger. We're now looking to raise over $100 million to see how we can raise an African women's impact fund. And we're working with Standard Bank in South Africa. We have done a call for proposals. We have a couple of young women. And we hope by the end of this year, hopefully in September, we will start launching that. And this is going to connect the Women Impact Fund with the startup, because essentially we will now be able to fund them. So what we did was we launched the startup and we started supporting. This was very small scale. Just last week or 2 weeks ago with Rockefeller, we helped to do a women's training. And I think the question from Boya, which was around leadership, leadership is a process, and yes, I think one of the things that we should maybe start doing with our Connected African Girls Camp is maybe to have a day where we start doing some conversations around leadership, because we do need leaders that can take some of these processes forward. And I believe you are already leaders. You're in this room today because you have woken up and you have made a decision that you want to better yourselves and you want to better your careers. That is leadership in the making. Now we need a lot more leadership on our continent. We need a lot more leadership in our country. We need dedicated leadership that is has integrity. And I think that is where we begin to falter a little bit on the continent. Is we need the integrity, we need the governance systems, we need the transparency that comes along with it. And I think a lot of the camps that we're doing, yes, we're training you on IT, yes, we're training you on robotics, but I hope we're also training you on leadership. I hope we're training you on collective leadership. That's why you're working together. That's why we're bringing you together to see how you can build societies together. Because I always say that even when you have a leader, you need to have followers. If a leader cannot create followers, then it's very difficult to be a leader. You must have the ability to convince and to be able to enchant enough that people want to follow you because they see an example of something that you're doing that is worth emulating. And that's really what leadership is, right? If you're here today, is either that you've seen somebody that has done something in the ICT world, or you believe that you can be just like the next best person in the ICT world, and that's why we want to do that. Now, on your question about the differences between West, Central, North, East Africa, I think one of it is clearly the institutional setting. If we make the right decisions institutionally that allow, again, for better access to the internet, for lower cost of the internet, to easy connectivity and affordability of the internet, we have amazing young Cameroonian women. I think of Becky and Onchong, for example. Becky is leading young French girls and young American girls in the ICT space. We have young African girls in Silicon Valley, designing spaceships. So I think that when we think about what Cameroon can deliver and what Cameroon has already delivered and is delivering by way of young women leaders, there is no shortage. I think the question then is, what is the opportunity? What is the environment that allows you to be able to grow in that space in a much bigger and a much better way? And we hope that as you watch this young Cameroonian women and African women at large, that are doing these amazing things, that it gives you the motivation to do that. In Kenya, uniquely so, they have the right policy environment for ICT to develop. But we hope that with your voices, with our voices as the United Nations, we can continue to educate, support, and work with the government so that they provide the kind of institutional and technological and infrastructure support that we need. Cameroon is no different from Morocco. Cameroon is no different from Tunisia or no different from South Africa. We can be just like them, if not better. I think we just need to make our minds. The fact that you are in this room again today shows and demonstrates that we can do that. We just need to do that at scale and fast enough so that we can get to where we need to get to. I think from an economic perspective, one of the things that the Economic Commission for Africa is working on in Cameroon, but also in West Africa, is looking at how we can diversify our economy. And this is part of that process. Our economies in West Africa have been economies that have been very dependent on commodities, whether it's timber, whether it's oil, whether it's palm oil. We need to move now from resources, natural resources, to the intellect, to the brain. And that's why you're here, because innovation in the ICT sector is about intellectual innovation. It's about the brain. It's about your academic capacities. And so we're hoping that with that kind of diversification, you can work in the health sector. Today, the health sector is exploding. It's a 14 billion economy on the continent. It stands to become a 200 billion economy. Imagine if any one of you came up with a device that was demanded by all of Central Africa, all of West Africa, all of Africa. You will become the next billionaire and trillionaire. And this is, I think, the challenge that we throw to you is, what are those ideas that we can build on? What are those ideas that we could support? And this links the Women's Fund, the Startup Fund, and the Coding Camp. Is we now have resources. We can actually fund your ideas. We can actually take your ideas to scale. And so we hope that together we can begin to build an Africa that is diversified, an Africa that has a space for women, and an Africa that uses technology to deliver prosperity.
The online participant before.
I think I answered all the questions. I have 8 more minutes.
Okay. We have 2 questions from online participants. One is from Botswana. How come the Digital Center of Excellence of UNICA help the sustainability of Connected African Girl initiative? The second is from Tunisia. She said, when will we be having Connected African Girls Coding Camp in our country? Thank you.
Je veux d'abord remercier la Tunisie. Je pense que la Tunisie, pour nous, est un pays qui est très important parce que nous le savons tous et nous avons utilisé au fait vos inventions et vos innovations en Tunisie. Je crois que pour ceux qui ne le savent pas, et peut-être que nous allons partager ces expériences de la Tunisie, c'est des jeunes filles surtout, tunisiennes, qui se sont mis ensemble pour rédiger le droit d'accès en Tunisie à l'Internet et tout le protocole de l'accès à l'Internet. Et ça, c'est vraiment ce que nous voulons, c'est créer des communautés. Peut-être que vous, les Tunisiennes, les jeunes filles tunisiennes, vous pouvez partager vos expériences avec vos dirigeants, avec la législation. Comment est-ce que vous avez pu mettre en place une législation aujourd'hui, qui est une législation que nous espérons deviendrait continentale, parce que telle elle était importante et nécessaire pour le continent. Donc nous espérons que quand est-ce que nous allons faire un Connected African Girls Camp en Tunisie, je vais demander à Martha de nous dire, mais nous espérons peut-être d'ici la fin de l'année, puisque nous l'avons déjà fait en Afrique de l'Est, en Afrique centrale, maintenant nous le sommes, et donc nous espérons peut-être pouvoir venir rapidement et incessamment en Afrique du Nord. Et nous espérons d'ailleurs travailler beaucoup plus avec la Tunisie sur cette volet-là. Je pense sur la question du Botswana, qu'est-ce que nous pouvons faire de plus pour le Connected African Girls pour que vous restez ensemble et continuer un peu ces expériences. Je crois que, le centre d'excellence digitale de la CEA est en train de travailler, en fait, je crois qu'incessamment, nous avons un très grand projet au Botswana, donc nous serons dans votre pays incessamment, pour voir un peu comment nous pouvons faire la digitalisation de l'identité. Comme vous le savez si bien, 500 millions des Africains n'ont pas une identité et une carte d'identité, ce qui fait que c'est très difficile d'abord de commencer un business, c'est très difficile d'envoyer les enfants à l'école. Et nous voulons faire l'expérience avec le Botswana de voir est-ce que nous pouvons lancer un programme de digitalisation de l'identité. Nous avons eu l'honneur d'être invités par votre chef d'État pour venir voir un peu comment faire du Botswana un nouveau hub digital du continent, un peu comme l'Estonie. Donc, nous sommes en train, dans, je crois, 1 mois, 6 semaines, d'aller vers le Botswana. Nous serons avec vous. J'espère que nous allons peut-être autour de cela organiser un Connected African Girls Camp au Botswana pour voir un peu comment nous pouvons peut-être en bénéficier de toutes les législations que le gouvernement du Botswana est en train de mettre en place pour s'assurer. Et au Botswana, évidemment, vous avez, je pense, beaucoup d'atouts qui peuvent nous aider à voir comment augmenter un peu l'indépendance de la femme dans le secteur de l'ICT. Et nous espérons bénéficier de ça, mais pas seulement bénéficier de ça, encore une fois de plus au Botswana, mais pouvoir associer le reste des jeunes filles africaines à l'expérience du Botswana et ensemble, pourquoi pas créer quelque chose qui est fait un peu au Botswana, un peu au Cameroun et un peu en Tunisie. Je vous remercie.
Okay, yes.
Wow, I think this was a very amazing. Was it amazing? Was it amazing? I'm not sure. Was it amazing? Did you enjoy it? Did you like it? So we need to say give big thanks to Dr. Vera. So stand up in our own way. We are going to kill all the mosquitoes in Cameroon, in Douala, in Boya, in Ethiopia, all over Africa. We are going to kill those mosquitoes, okay? So what are the mosquitoes doing? They are les moustiques font comment? Catch it! Confuse it! Confuse it! Kill it! Kill it! Kill it! Kill it! Kill it! Okay, thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, and good luck, good luck. And I look forward to seeing the top winners of the competition. And I hope I will get to see you in person someday. But thank you so much again, and good luck, and stay safe.
You can all have tea break. Okay? Thank you.
Vamos a pasar